Hi, it's ChickenboneJohn here, and I'm just going to do a little piece about this, the plane. I think a lot of cigar box guitar makers are a little scared of this, but it's a basic tool. One of the really cool things you can do is if you've got a guitar neck with the fretboard on, a little bit wider than the neck, you can plane it down. Now some people ask us why we supply our fretboards wider than the necks, and there's a very simple reason. If you try and get a neck and a fretboard exactly the same width and glue it on, it's more than likely that, to exaggerate it, it's going to squirm about when you glue it. Even if you put some pins or some cut-off staples in there to stop it twisting, it's likely that you won't get it perfectly aligned, and then you may be faced with a worst case situation where the neck's sticking out from the fretboard rather than the other way around. So what we do, I'll put that away, what we do is we supply our necks standard 35-36mm wide, on our fretboards anything, you know, 40-42mm, maybe a bit wider, so you've got anything between 3 and 6mm to thin it down. And people say, oh, it's so difficult, I haven't got the power tools and this, that and the other. You don't need power tools, you need this. Now here I've got a selection of planes. This is the one I commonly use. It's like a regular Stanley number, that's a number 4. It's a Stanley Bailey. I don't think I've only bought, I think, one of these planes, which is this one, which is my that's a record record number 5, only because I had another one and I dropped it, cracked the casting, so I had to buy another one. The rest of them I've sort of acquired through inheriting them. Here's one I think from my father-in-law's workshop. It's a Stanley Handyman, a little bit cheaper, plastic handles. Here's an Indian one, which is an Anant, which is a copy, and it's not too bad, it's fine. Here's the sort of thing you see on junk shops and car boot sales. It's a Beechwood block plane, perfectly serviceable. Here's a little Stanley, what's that? It's a number 110 block plane. And here's another cheapy, super cheap little block plane. So that's my sort of selection of stuff. You can pick these up real cheap, and they're not difficult to sort out. Or you've got to I've actually, you can see what I've done with that one. I've actually put a piece of wet and dry across the double stick to the sole for flattening down various things. But here's the Stanley. There's nothing complicated to them. You just pull that lever. That brings the that out, and there's your iron. That's a cutting blade. You need to sharpen these. You do need to learn to sharpen them with a cap iron. You can see this little thing just tilts the blade, keeps it straight. This little wheel advances it in the throat, so all you need to do is drop that in. Drop that back on there. Oops, might need a bit of adjusting. Clamp it in. This, oops, I've not done that right, sorry. Does need a bit of adjustment. There we go. Clamp it in, and then you can sort of check the throat and everything there. It's a pretty easy thing to set up. But you do need to sharpen them like any tool. There's loads of videos on YouTube. I'm not going to show or go through all that. Here I've got a few necks, all glued up. This is live stuff in work that we're getting ready for WOMAD, so we've got quite a lot of these to get through. I take those off the bench, and I've just got maybe about 2.5mm down either side to get up. I'm not even going to clamp it on the bench. I've just got one of these plastic workbenches, which I think these are superior to the workbench. Maybe not quite as rigid, but you've got a nice flat surface. They fold down dead easy. I think they're Cater, I think they're German. I've just got a piece of cardboard double stick taped on there. I'm not going to clamp it down, I'm just going to hold it, and I'm just going to run the plane along the neck. And the great thing about this is you can feel exactly what the plane's doing, unlike a power tool where it's entirely you get the feedback direct into your hand. This is coming down nicely now. I'm just set this so I've got a light shaving. You will find that you can go with and against. If you go against the sort of grain, it start chipping out, so reverse the direction. I'm getting a few chips there. I'm just going to turn it around just to experiment to see if I'm indeed, that's slightly better. I'm not getting as many chips. And now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, the edge is coming off. You can begin to see the glue, the squeeze out. And I'm just going to continue. Nice even strokes, and if your plane's good and sharp, you can get right the way down to the last fraction. There, it's done. How long did that take? Not very long. The other side, exactly the same process. Remember, this is real time, not sped up, not cut or anything. And as I say, I'm not even clamping this to the bench. Perhaps I ought to do it more accurately. This is the intention. The intention with this is not to make you into a luthier or a cabinet maker. It's to learn how to use a very basic tool. The plane is a fundamental woodworking tool, just like a chisel and a saw. You should be able to use one, and also importantly, know how to set one up. That's half the battle. If you buy a new one, you will need to set it up. Don't expect it to work straight out the box. Here we go, we're coming down. I can see I'm beginning to hit the glue line. Nearly there. That's it. We're done. That just needs a bit of final sanding, ready for the next stage. So I'm just going to continue with these necks, but I would recommend you learn how to use a plane. Get one second-hand from a boot sale or eBay. They're very common. This is a handy size, what they probably call a jack plane. There's various things. There's jack planes, smoothing planes, tri-planes, but that, as I say, is that's a number 4, very handy. This one, a fair bit bigger, which I say that's, let's have a look, that's a number 5. That's very handy if you're straightening out pieces of wood, really handy. And of course, they are so much safer than a mechanical surface planer workshop tool, which is a very dangerous piece of kit, or even a powered hand planer, you know, the sort of thing you do. They don't give you anything like the control, the finesse of cut. So I recommend buy one. You can probably pick one up for a tenner. Sharpen it with an ordinary oil stone. You don't need any fancy Japanese water stones for ultra sharp cutting. I don't sharpen these as often as I should, but if you've got a reasonably sharp edge on that, set it so that there's not too much blade coming out. So you see, it's taking a fine shaving off there. And that's it, job done. I say that needs a final sand, and it's ready for the next stage where we'll be dotting and fretting and shaping the neck. But this, get one of these, learn how to use it. It'll make your life of making guitars so much easier, and you'll end up with a much better job. You'll wonder how you ever got on without one. Bye for now.